Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of my face doing this, but also the third episode of, what's this show called again? Creepypasta Virgin, where I take a look at creepypastas because I've never read them before. Not once in my entire life. And yeah, I decided why the fuck not, let's have a look at them. So this time we're looking at the Russian sleep experiment. Now as usual, I know nothing about this, but it's probably going to be better than Jeff the Killer. Smile Dog was alright, I guess. Like, wasn't anything to write home about, but it existed and it's okay. But this time I'm going to look at this one, so buckle up kiddies, let's have a little gaze. Alright. So, Russian researchers in the late 1940s kept 5 people awake for 15 days using an experimental gas-based stimulant. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake so the gas didn't kill them, since it was toxic in high concentrations. Well, isn't that just lovely? I'm glad they're being considerate. This was before closed-circuit cameras, so they had only microphones and 5-inch thick glass, pothole-sized windows into the chamber to monitor them. The chamber was stocked with books, cots to sleep on, but no bedding, running water and toilet. And enough dry food to last all 5 for over a month. Fucking dry food, yuck. Oh, go away. The test subjects were political prisoners deemed enemies of the state during World War II. Everything was fine for the first 5 days. The subjects hardly complained, having been promised falsely, not quotations, that they would be freed if they submitted to the test and did not sleep for 30 days. Fuck that, I can barely not sleep for like 8 hours, and like, after that, I'm just fucked. I have like naps constantly. Their conversations and activities were monitored, and it was noted that they continued to talk about increasingly traumatic incidents in their past, and the general tone of their conversations took on a darker aspect after the 4-day mark. Now, what happens to your body like after you don't sleep for like 30 days? Don't sleep for 30 days. What's happened? Let's have a look at this one. BusinessInsider.com. Got Michael Jackson straight up. He went 60 days without sleep, which never led to his death, apparently. I don't know. It doesn't really... You can die, I guess. Involves progressively worsening insomnia, which leads to hallucinations, delirium, and confusional states like that of dementia. Fucking hell. The average survival span for patients is diagnosed with FFI, which is fatal familial insomnia, after the onset of symptoms is 18 months. Now, that sucks. So these people obviously aren't having a very good time, considering they're going to be awake for 30 days, but we'll see what happens. After 5 days, they started to complain about the circumstances and events that led them to where they were and started to demonstrate severe paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and began alternatively whispering to the microphones and one-way mirrored portholes. Oddly, they all seemed to think that they could win the trust of the experimenters by turning over their comrades, the other subjects in captivity with them. At first, the researchers suspected that this was an effect of the gas itself. After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. Fuck, that'd be annoying. He ran the length of the chamber, repeatedly yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 hours straight. He continued attempting to scream, but was only able to produce occasional squeaks. That's cute. He would be adorable. That doesn't sound too bad. The researchers postulated that he had physically torn his vocal cords. Well, okay, it's not good. The most surprising thing about this behaviour is how the other captors reacted to it, or rather didn't react to it. They continued whispering to the microphones until the second of the captors started to scream. The 2 non-screaming captors took the books apart, smeared page after page of their own feces, and pasted them calmly over the glass holes. The screaming promptly stopped. I love that. They did it calmly. They're just like, yeah, that's a good one. I like that. So did the whispering to the microphones. After 3 more days passed, the researchers checked the microphones hourly to make sure they were working, since they thought it impossible that no sound could be coming with 5 people inside. The oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated that all 5 must still be alive. In fact, it was the amount of oxygen 5 people would consume at a very heavy level of strenuous exercise. But you got motherfuckers running around screaming, like, it's pretty strenuous. On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something they said they would not do to get a reaction from the captives. They used the intercom inside the chamber, hoping to provoke any response from the captives they were afraid were either dead or vegetables. They announced, I'm going to do a Russian one. How do Russians talk? We are opening... No, that's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Da, very good. No. Very good, yeah. No, damn it. I don't know. We are opening the chambers to test the microphones. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor or you will be shot. Compliance will earn one of you your immediate freedom. That's not Russian, but we'll just go with it. Hello, comrade! There we go. To their surprise, they heard a single phrase in the calm voice response. We no longer want to be freed! Debate broke out among the researchers and the military forces funding the research. Unable to provoke any more responses using the intercom, it was finally decided to open the chamber at midnight on the 15th day. The chamber was flushed with the stimulant gas and filled with fresh air, and immediately the voices from the microphones began to object. 3 different voices began begging, as if pleading for the life of loved ones to turn the gas back on. The chamber was open and soldiers sent in to retrieve the test subjects. They began to scream louder than ever, and so did the soldiers when they saw what was inside. 4 of the 5 subjects were still alive, although no one could rightly call the state any of them in life. The food rations past 5 days had not so much been touched. There were chunks of meat from the dead test subjects' thighs and chest stuffed into the drain in the centre of the chamber. That's kind of cool. Blocking the drain and allowing 4 inches of water to accumulate on the floor. Precisely how much of the water on the floor was actually blood was never determined. I'm assuming it's also like piss and shit too. All 4 surviving test subjects also had large portions of muscle and skin torn away from their bodies. The destruction of flesh and exposed bone on their fingertips indicated that the wounds were inflicted by hand, not with teeth as the researchers initially thought. Closer examination of the position and angles of the wounds indicated that most of it, not all of them, was self-inflicted. That's hard to do, like to fucking rip your skin? It's fucking... I guess you could, I don't know, I just didn't, I forgot I was wearing fucking glasses then. Like, you can maybe do your eyelids, but I don't know anything else. Most of the soldiers were Russian special operatives at the facility, but still many refused to return to the chamber to remove the test subjects. They continued to scream to be left in the chamber and alternatively begged and demanded that the gas be turned back on, lest they fall asleep. To everyone's surprise, the test subjects put up a fierce fight in the process of being removed from the chamber. One of the Russian soldiers died from having his throat ripped out. See, how do you rip out? Like, rip out. Another was gravely injured by having his testicles ripped off and an artery in his leg severed with one of the subject's teeth. How did he get his testicles? Like, did he, would have had to take off his pants, grabbed his cock and balls and just... Jeez. It's not very nice. Oh, wait, I fucking lost where I was. Another 5 of the soldiers lost their lives if you count the ones that committed suicide in the weeks following the incident. In the struggle, one of the 4 living subjects had his spleen ruptured and bled out almost immediately. This has just turned into a fucking shit show. The medical researchers attempted to sedate him, but this proved impossible. He was injected with more than 10 times the human dose of morphine, a morphine derivative, and still fought like a cornered animal, breaking the ribs and arms of one doctor. When heart was seen to beat for a full 2 minutes after he bled out, to the point where there was more air in his vascular system than blood. See, that doesn't make any sense. When heart was seen to beat. One subject's heart? I don't know. Even after it stopped, he continued to scream and flail for another 3 minutes. Struggling to attack anyone in reach, and just repeated the word "more" over and over, weaker and weaker, until he finally fell silent. The surviving 3 test subjects were heavily restrained and moved to a medical facility, the 2 with intact vocal cords continuously begging for the gas, demanding to be kept awake. The most injured of the 3 was taken to only surgical operating room that the facility had. In the process of preparing the subject to have his organs placed back into his body, it was found that he was effectively immune to the sedative they had given him to prepare him for the surgery. Sorry, my fucking glasses. I got a greasy ass finger stain on it. He fought furiously against his restraints when the anesthetic gas was brought out to put him under. He managed to tear most of the way through a 4-inch wide leather strap on one wrist, even though the weight of a 200-pound soldier holding that wrist as well, yeah. It took only a little more anesthetic than normal to put him under, and the instant his eyelids fluttered and closed, his heart stopped. In the autopsy of the test subject that died on the operating table, it was found that his blood had tripled to the normal level of oxygen. His muscles that were still attached to his skeleton were badly torn, and he had broken 9 bones in his struggle to not be subdued. Most of them were found from force his own muscles had exerted on him. The second survivor had been the first of the group of 5 to start screaming. His vocal cords destroyed, he was unable to beg or object to surgery. He only reacted by shaking his head violently in disapproval when the anesthetic gas was brought near him. He shook his head yes when someone suggested. Reluctantly, they try the surgery for anesthetic. You can't shake your head yes, isn't it nodding? I guess that still constitutes shaking. But I always believe shaking is this, not this. And did not react for the entire 6-hour procedure, replacing his abdominal organs and attempting to cover them with what remained of his skin. The surgeon presiding stated repeatedly that it should be medically impossible for the patient to still be alive. One terrified nurse assisting the surgery stated that she had seen the patient's mouth curl into a smile several times whenever his eyes met hers. He's just horny. He's just this is all a ploy. He's I'm gonna get this chick by staying in some crazy sleep place, or a place where I can't sleep, not eat, go insane, pretty much tear my body apart, and then I'm gonna be sup, babe? You come here often? Huh? Yeah, that'll work. When the surgery ended, the subject looked at the surgeon and began to wheeze loudly, attempting to talk while struggling. Assuming this must be something of drastic importance, the surgeon had a pen and pad fetched so the patient could write his message. It was simple: keep cutting. Don't do that. The other 2 test subjects were given the same surgery, both without anesthetic as well, although they had to be injected with a paralytic for the duration of the operation. The surgeon found it impossible to perform the operation while the patients laughed continuously. Once paralyzed, the subjects could only follow the attending researchers with their eyes. The paralytic cleared their system in an abnormally short period of time, and they were soon trying to escape their bonds. The moment they could speak, they were asking again for the stimulant gas. The researchers tried asking why they had injured themselves, why they had ripped out their own guts, and why they wanted the gas again. Only one response was given: I must remain awake. All 3 subjects' restraints were reinforced, and they were placed back into the chamber awaiting determination as to what should be done with them. The researchers, facing the wrath of the military's benefactors for having failed the stated goals of their project, considered euthanizing the surviving subjects. The commanding officer, next KGB, instead saw potential and wanted to see what would happen if they put them back on the gas. The researchers strongly objected, but they were overruled. So what's the point of doing this? What did they say the point was again? Sealed... Blah, blah, it doesn't even say. It's just yo, we're just going to test this. I don't know why you need to test what happens when you stay awake. Obviously it's going to be bad. And why would the KGB be there's potential in this? There's no potential. You're just making people go crazy. In preparation for being sealed in the chamber again, the subjects were connected to an EEG monitor and had their restraints padded for long-term confinement. To everyone's surprise, all 3 stopped struggling the moment it was let slip that they were going back on the gas. It was obvious that at this point all 3 were putting up a great struggle to stay awake. One of the subjects that could speak was humming loudly and continuously. The mute subject was straining his legs against the leather bonds with all his might, first left, then right, then left again for something to focus on. The remaining subject was holding his head off his pillow and blinking rapidly. Having been the first to be wired for the EEG, most of the researchers were monitoring his brain waves in surprise. They were normal most of the time, but sometimes flatlined inexplicably. It looked as if he were repeatedly suffering brain death before returning to normal. As they focused on paper scrolling out of the brainwave monitor, only one nurse saw his eyes slip shut at the same moment his head hit the pillow. His brainwaves immediately changed to that of a deep sleep, then flatlined for the first time as his heart simultaneously stopped. Is it simultaneously or simultaneously? The only remaining subject that could speak started screaming to be sealed in now. His brainwaves showed the same flat lines as one who had just died from falling asleep. The commander gave the order to seal the chamber with both subjects inside, as well as 3 researchers. One of the named 3 immediately drew his gun and shot the commander point blank between the eyes. They then turned the gun on the mute subject and blew his brains out as well. What? He pointed his gun at the remaining subjects, still restrained to a bed as the remaining members of the medical and research team fled the room. I won't be locked in here with these things, not with you, he screamed at the man strapped to the table. What are you, he demanded. I must know! The subject smiled. Have you forgotten so easily, the subject asked. We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go into the nocturnal haven where we cannot tread. The researcher paused, then aimed the subject's heart and fired. The EEG flatlined of the subject weakly choked out. So nearly free. Okay. Well, that was a Russian sleep experiment. Let's see what everyone in the community had to say before I give my thoughts. 2 YouTube links, great. Even if one did not know that this was a creepypasta and therefore false, the author did not do his research on Soviet intelligence agencies. Okay, well, I don't fucking care about that, really. I don't understand how their organs were ripped out, yet they didn't bleed to death. Good point. I don't understand why this story is so popular. Yes, it is interesting and creepy, but it's also poorly written. The numerous grammatical errors, the extra experimental subject that appears out of nowhere, are there 5 or are there 6? And the odd wording, did you mean to say that the digestive system was still working outside of their body? What else? This is horrifying. How is it possible to stay to merely 30 days? It is impossible, right? Right? Oh, this cunt. Ooh, this is nice. One of the good creepypastas. Definitely not a scary one, but still a good read from time to time. Okay, no more coffee, no more gas, no more weed, no more necro sleep, no more Soviet. I mean Soviet is okay. Is it real? If it's on fucking creepypasta.com or whatever the fuck we're on, it's not real. Oh well. Like, it was fun, I guess. Like, it wasn't... I don't know, I had this expectation that, like, they're creepypastas, so they're meant to be, like, creepy, but they're just kind of... I don't know if they're spooky stories or anything like that. They're just... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're not long enough, or... Yeah, they just don't feel like they're given enough time. Like, this one probably has the most time dedicated to, like, just stuff happening, but I found, like, Smaller Dog to be, like, better, just because it's, like, actually, like, a... I don't know, the story sounded a bit more compelling. It wasn't just... This is what's happening to people, kind of thing. But, you know, each their own. I don't get creepypastas, and that's why I'm doing this series, because I want to fucking find out why people love them. And let's have a look at them too. What are they? Is there meant to be like a picture of them or something like that? Like, historical archive. This is not a historical archive. Let's have a look. I betcha if we go this, there might be like a reel or something. Let's have a cheeky little gaze. Come on. I'm fucking terrible at this. Ah, okay, so that's what they're meant to look like. That's not what they look like. Bullshit. That is not fucking them. Like, no fucking way. You could not do that to yourself. I don't know if you could do that to yourself. Alright, but we know what time it is now. It's the annual Rule 34 search. So, we're going to go onto good old Google and have a look-see. Let's see if anyone thought it was a good idea to make Rule 34 of this. Oh my god! No fucking way! That is no way! It has to exist. I love how Rule 34 isn't even like the first look. Maybe I'm fucking up something. Let's have a look again. Is really Rule 34 like not the first thing you get when you look at Rule 34? We'll just do this. We'll go back to Jeff the Killer quickly and have a look. Swear to God, if you open up another fucking 20 advertisements. Oh, fuck off. Are you serious? Oh my God, I just want to type something. Okay. Russian sleep. Oh, I swear to God. Russian sleep experiment. So apparently you can't type just one word. I mean, a couple of words in a row. No. Nothing. Wow. That's crazy. I honestly thought... I mean, there's fucking everything. We're gonna see if there's any porn, maybe. Nah, nothing. Well, there you go. Russian sleep experiment is unworthy of Rule 34, which is a shame. But it does save me from having to blur out a lot of the video. But yeah. It was fine, whatever. I really don't care. Now I have to fucking find a better picture for the thumbnail. I just use the pornos usually, but now I have to fucking find something else. Alright, well, if you liked it, do the usual thing people do when they like videos. I'll be doing these more often, I think. I kind of enjoy them a lot, and I don't know, I like reading creepypastas, even though I haven't really enjoyed too many of them so far. But, as usual, any cool creepypastas you can think of, let me know in the comments, because I want to, I kind of just Google what I can find, and I don't know if it's any good or not. So if there's any like kind of smaller ones that you guys recommend, let me know, because I really want to check them out. I want to find one that actually like gets me, like that I'm actually like genuinely interested in, or I think it's a good story. Because so far, out of the 3 I've done, Smile.jpg or Smile Dog is the best, and that's about a fucking image of a dog. So I don't know, but yeah. As per usual, have a lovely time. And you should subscribe and join the family, because we're just great people. Okay. I don't know what to do about it. Bye?